Hi, I'm Monty McKinnon. Thank you for joining me. I'm glad you're here today. Today is a day that presents problems for some people, and it did for me yesterday. I started this video a day ago, and I ran into trouble, and so I decided to abandon that video and show you the backside instead of the front. This is the front of the guitar, and as you can see, I've already started putting in the linings. Now let me explain a little bit about the linings. First of all, we have two different kinds of linings. We have a regular traditional lining, which looks like this. Now, this lining comes down to a sharp point on the end, and it runs around the guitar, and it sticks out like this with all kinds of slots in here, and it curves around where you need it to curve. You can't really use this as a reverse that is going this way, because the lines that are cut here are too close together and it will snap and it will break. So that's the way they do this. Now a reverse lining, and this is a piece that I made, and what you'll see up in here, these are all linings that I made on my table saw here in my shop. Now the reverse lining has the same kind of kerfs on it, only those kerfs are what gets glued here, so that it's a flat surface in here. Now there's a whole bunch of debate, and I honestly don't know what the answer is here, about the quality of the sound of a guitar, whether this reverse lining with a flat side here gives better sound than the traditional kerfing that you see here. Personally, I tend to think maybe it does, because the sound will bounce off this, whereas with something that's cut like this, it's likely going to be absorbed into the slots. Now, there's also another lining that you'll see. This is a solid piece of wood, and this requires serious bending. Some of the builders use this. This will make your guitar so stable that you could drive a tractor over it, and I don't think it would bother it a bit. But that's a solid lining. You'll have to wet this. You'll have to put the super soft 2 on this to bend it, and then you shape it into the, whatever way you want it to go. Now, this is the piece that I used for the reverse lining. So all I did was take this and slot this on the underside here in order to come up with this piece here. Now, I have to admit, there are two differences. I have this as a flat side, whereas on this kerf piece in here, it's rounded. I ran out of this lining, so instead of piecing it all, I've decided I will use the round piece that I have. You won't necessarily see it, but you're not looking for it, so it's not going to be a problem, and it won't affect the sound. Now, as you can see up in here, I have a solid piece of wood. This wood here is basswood, and basswood is nice and light. It's easy to work with, and you won't have any trouble at all. So what I've done is I took this on the disc sander, and I just ran it around the disc sander until I got it absolutely perfect coming on this curvature. And then before I did any of that, what I did is I took a sheet of paper and I traced it on this paper. The reason for that is once the top is on here, I don't know where the end is. So I'm going to cut that tracing out, put this on here, and then run my pencil around here when the top's on, so I know where this ends. So when I cut away the armrest, I will know exactly what it is I have to do. And that's just the way you do it. So what we've done here is we've got the linings up in here and the linings all around here, and everything worked out extremely well. I'm really pleased with it. Now, the way I did this lining, and they didn't break at all, is this way. I just did this before we turned on the video so that you could see it in action here, if you will. I take the kerfing and I wet it with hot water. I then take it where it's going to end, and I put these clamps on it, and I run it around the outside of the edge because that's going to give me the shape that I'm going to want inside the guitar in here. Now, when you take it off of here and it dries, it won't take long to dry. You can even use a heat gun to dry that. It dries up pretty quick. You'll have a bit of a shape of this, so you still got to be careful because this wood, when it's all slotted like that, is pretty fragile because the piece that is actually holding this together is so thin. It's not even. See, look at that, just not even a 1/16 of an inch. It's so incredibly thin. So you want to be careful with that once you start doing that. Now, I have done that, and down here, I did it a little different. There's no need for me to do this on the inside here because it's going on what will be the inside of the guitar down in here. So this piece in here, which is all nice and round on this side, you see this in here, right? That's all, that worked out extremely well. Well, it will on the other side as well. I've sanded it, it's all set to go. It's just gonna dry, and then all I'm gonna do is put some glue on it and then clamp it and let it set for, a couple of hours probably, and then we'll be done. So seriously, that's it. There's not much more to putting on the linings other than that, except you need to be careful. And when I ordered linings, I have in the past, that's why I started making them. Now, with all this, you know, the supply chain shortage and all of that and getting wood, these things in Canadian dollars are now getting upwards of $8 and $9 to order some of these linings, and you need 4 of them, so you're at $36. You add to that the freight and shipping. I've ordered a truss rod or 2, and it costs more to ship it than the truss rod. So it's expensive, and then by the time you add the tax to it as well, you're well up over $50. So you can make these. A piece of basswood is cheap, and once you've run this thing through your table saw and you cut it, then you run it through the router to give yourself the round over here. So I would recommend you make your own. That probably costs you $1.50 to make them. But it's also the experience of making the entire guitar, doing everything that you have to do to make a guitar that truly is handmade. Well, that's it. I'm not going to go any further on that. I got to let this dry. I got to let it glue up. Once that's glued up, I put these all in here. I then have to drive the bus again in order to get this nice and even with the sides. And so when you glue this on, you want to make sure that the lining is just slightly above the actual side of the guitar. Just proud of it, just a little bit, so that when you put it on, because it's such a soft wood, it will end up sanding down very quickly, and you'll be ready to go. This, of course, is a piece of mahogany, and so the mahogany here, it will sand just as well. So make sure if you're using this, it sticks up above, just so you can feel it above the edge of the guitar, and you'll be good to go. Now those pieces, that kerfing's what holds the top on and holds the back on. So it becomes important that we get this and get it right. So that's it for this video. Thank you for joining me. I'm pleased you're here. And by all means, please subscribe. That's something I never ask people that view the videos to do, because I don't remember. To tell you the truth, I'm so focused on this, I don't think about that. But anyway, today I thought about it. So if you like, please subscribe, hit the like button, and I'll see you in another video. It won't be long. Bye for now.